I never used to think of myself as a creative person until about 4 years ago. I was watching a talk by John Cleese, and in it, he said something that completely changed my perspective.
Creativity is not a talent. It is not a talent. It is a way of operating.
And in case you don't know, John Cleese is a very famous writer, actor, and comedian. He worked on things like Monty Python and Fawlty Towers. He made me realise that creativity is a skill, and like any skill, you can get better at it as long as you practice it. The thing is, no one ever actually mentioned this to John Cleese while he was at school, and that's why he wrote this book. But before I talk more about the book, I want to share a story with you about my godfather. He's called Tim. He's really funny, and he's always reminded me of someone, but I could never work out who it was. Until one day it hit me. He reminded me of John Cleese. So I told him, my godfather, not John Cleese, and he said to me, that's a massive coincidence because John Cleese actually taught him at school for 1 year when he was younger.
Way back in 1956, I was at my school in Weston, and we've discovered at the September term this young lad, we then discovered his name was John Cleese, was going to be taking us for English. And a bunch of 10-year-olds in those periods who weren't too keen on being lessons and strict routine of the lessons. We found it was very easy to digress onto other topics of our choosing for a good chunk of the period before he suddenly realised that the period was nearly up and he had to do a little bit of teaching of English.
So it's absolutely fascinating, right? I couldn't believe it that John Cleese actually taught my godfather Tim at school, but he did. And Tim was saying that they used to go on these long tangents before they'd even start getting on with their work. And it might sound like a bit crazy that they were doing that, but I think there was a method to his madness because John was saying in his book that you can teach creativity. And I think this was part of him trying to teach creativity to his students back then. He also says that we can learn creativity from watching others who are creative and learning from them. And some of the most creative people are kids. Now, I know that my nephew is a fantastic example of this. He's only 6, but he knows exactly how to be creative. He has this ability to explore, not knowing where he's going, but also not really caring either. He's totally spontaneous, he's not trying to avoid making mistakes, and he doesn't mind breaking the rules. The most creative adults are able to behave in a similar way. When they need to solve a problem or work on a project, what they'll do is they'll play around the problem or explore the situation a little bit more before they try to solve it, because they know that new information could come along or they could come up with new, better ideas. And that's why they're able to come up with such creative solutions. The tricky thing is that when you have a problem or a question, you try to solve it or answer it straight away, because if you don't, there's this uncomfortable feeling that you get of not knowing the answer or having a solution. But creative people are willing to tolerate that discomfort and sit in it a little bit longer than the rest of us. But that's okay, because if we want to be more creative, all we have to do is be able to tolerate that discomfort too, and then we'll be able to come up with better ideas, better solutions, and be more creative. So next time you're working on a problem or trying to find a solution, give yourself a little extra time to explore different possibilities before you jump to an answer or a conclusion, and that's going to help you be much more creative. It sounds like to me that what John Cleese was trying to do with my godfather and the other students was create an opportunity to explore and be spontaneous before getting down to doing the actual work. And I think that really encouraged them to develop their own ability to be creative. And I'd say that it really worked because by judging my godfather, he's incredibly funny and creative. And so you never know, that might be thanks to John Cleese's lessons. So it absolutely goes to show that you can learn creativity. But I suppose it doesn't hurt if you're actually being taught by John Cleese himself. I had a lot of fun making this video and I hope you found it useful and entertaining. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. But if you didn't, in the words of Gerald Undone, press the thumbs down button twice. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'll see you later.
Go.